Hello, everybody. Hello, Georgie.
Hello, Joe. Good morning. Or should I say, is it afternoon yet? No?
You know, you're on telly.
Oh, yeah, it's just after that.
So we're now at 3 minutes past 12.
Yeah.
And we're on our recovery tour. And, of course, today we are in County
Mayo.
And we're going to Killala. So let's have a look and see what Killala has to offer. You always say there's a story everywhere, Georgie. And I'm just looking at the first part of our story when we come to Killala.
Is it Killala Bay or is it just Killala?
No, Killala is the town, and Killala is attached to Killala Bay,
right,
which is a little bay between, which if you actually, as the crow flies, if you go from Killala, it'll bring you directly across to Inniscrone.
Right.
And I'm going to bring you here, there's a story here, not a lovely story, a story here, and it's called the Killala Business Park at the moment. And when we get up here, George, I just want to show you something that was just absolutely a phenomenal story from years back. Well, you can keep it rolling there actually, because we can do it from here if you want to.
Okay.
Maybe we'll come back and we can get a parking spot. Right. How was that? All right.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, Georgie, I hear you asking what is all of this. All right. So I need to bring you back to 1975. All right. And in 1975, there was great excitement around Ballina and Killala and the surrounding areas, because it was announced that the biggest factory, and I'll stand corrected on that, but at the time, the biggest factory was going to be built here in Killala. And it was a synthetic fiber factory called Asahi. All right?
Yeah, I heard
and it was a Japanese factory, and they were a huge company within that world of synthetic fibers and all that. And they built, at the time, this huge factory here. And it was massive excitement, as you can imagine, because there was very little at that time in the line of industry in this area, all right?
Yeah.
So it was IDA backed and all the rest of it. And it started, as I said, in 1975, the announcement was made. It opened its doors. It employed, I think, at the time, 350 people. Which was, it was 500 people originally when it opened. It had 500 people it employed, and it was fantastic. There was, the railroads was from Ballina was I suppose improved because of it, because they had to bring in synthetics and all that into it, so they brought it in by rail. So that itself had great hope for hauliers and all of that used to transport the synthetics from Ballina out to here. As I say, there was 500 actual workers on the site. I think at the time it meant somewhere in the region of 10 or 15 million pound a year, which you can imagine back in the 70s was huge.
Massive money.
Massive money. But alas, I can't say what year exactly, but what happened then, Asahi there was a lot of worldwide competition. Asahi wasn't as secure as they thought. The company then eventually sort of decided that they were going to pull out of Ireland. A local management tried to buy it out, but that didn't work. And, the dream was gone. It may have lasted, and I'll stand corrected, but maybe 10 or 15 years, whatever it was. And it went from 500 down to 300 of a workforce, or 300, whatever, and then to no workforce, which was very sad, wasn't it? And it's now, in fairness, the local community has tried to, salvage what they can. They have a little business park there. I think you see there's a wind farm behind it there. There's some little businesses in the area. Very sad, wasn't it? It was a huge site, a 400-acre site. Imagine.
So how long did it last for?
I'm going to say somewhere, it was announced in 1975. I think it eventually closed its stores somewhere around the early 90s, and again I will stand corrected on that.
Well, obviously that was a disaster for the locals.
Of course it was, absolutely. It was a huge blow.
Yeah.
Like, people had their livelihoods around it.
Yeah.
And there was, everyone knew somebody that worked in Asahi at the time.
Yeah.
From around where we lived at the time, and in Inniscrone, a lot of people around there, got work in Asahi. Of course, it was huge work here, and it wasn't only just the people that worked in Asahi. As I said to you, there was lorry drivers that got work out of it. There was, buses. People used to be bussed into work here. Bus drivers. there was all what that brought to the community itself. You know, people were earning money, they were spending the money in the community. So
where would most of these people have been coming from?
That was the beauty. They were all from all around the area. All around the area, and they were trained and all of that into it. And it was really, really, really sad. It was from such prosperity at the announcement in 75. I think it opened its doors in 77. And somewhere, I think it eventually closed by the early 90s. But it was struggling from, I'm going to say from around the mid 80s up to that. You know what I mean? It was really struggling then. And, you know, everything and anything was done to try and save it. But alas, you know, it didn't happen. From what I can gather, Killala has most probably a population of around 500 or 600 people. Beautiful, beautiful little town. Lovely people, very welcoming town to come to. I was actually here during about, maybe was it 2 years ago. I had a lovely night in the Arch Bar, a lovely meal in the restaurant there. And they were so welcoming, the people that I met. It was unreal. And I want to bring you now to the Round Tower. But before we do that, see this street here now. Back in I think it was 81, 82, it might have been 82. I actually was in a film here called The Year of the French.
And, you were in a film?
Yeah, The Year of the French.
A movie?
And well, I think it was a 6-part, hour-long...
yeah, I remember that. What one was in it? Peter Bowes was in that, was he? No?
He was. And there was all the famous Irish actors of the day were in it. And there was a couple of famous French actors. But this hill now here is really, really special to me. And I'll tell you a story of this hill, right? So, I'm going to pull up here. I hope I'm not in anyone. No, I don't think we're in anyone's way here. I think we're okay. So this hill here, right? Oh, maybe I am in trouble here. We'll actually get a better spot. A bit of traffic.
Yeah.
All right.
Causing a traffic jam in Killala.
So, this hill here, there was one day, you can imagine during the filming of it, all the houses here were all brought back to the time. It was the 1600s, whenever it was, all right? Yeah. And the film, or it was a documentary basically about when the French came over to Ireland to help the Irish to rid them of the British occupation here. So you can imagine back in 82 when the film was being made, or 81, whenever it was, all the buildings here were brought back to the actual time, all right? And the film was about basically how the French came to Ireland to help the Irish to, I suppose, rid the area of the British occupancy. They were coming to help Ireland to get rid of the British. Britain was occupying Ireland and all the rest of it. I think it was around the 1700s. And the French forces were being led by a man called General Humbert. All right?
Yeah, I heard of him.
So basically they had, one of their successes was here on the street in Killala. So we were reenacting that. So we on the day were dressed as French soldiers, and we all gathered down the bottom of this hill, just around the corner there. And the director from RTE came along, and he had this big loudspeaker thing, and he sort of was explaining the scene. So we had to charge on his orders up this hill as if we were taking over the town of Killala.
Right.
And at the top of the hill, they had like a garrison of British soldiers lined up, right? So we were coming up the hills. There was fellas dressed as the Irish peasants, and we were dressed in our French uniforms and all the rest of it. And we came flying up the hill, and it was all the rest of it, Vive la France and all this sort of stuff. And at the end of it, it was cut, and the director came along and he says, you know, that was brilliant. And it was so fearful, and he was scared watching it. It was brilliant. But he says, who was the idiot in the middle of it that shouted out, you dirty rotten effer? I won't use the exact word. And that was me. Because when I was running up the hill, there was a fella in front of me, and he had a big sword hanging off him, right? And as he was running, the sword went in between me legs, if you can imagine, and hit me a wallop in the area. And of course, you know the pain of that. And of course, my reaction was, "You dirty effing so-and-so," and this came out on the camera. So they had to do the whole scene all again, and I was the cause of that.
But you were supposed to be a French soldier.
I was a French soldier, and I was cursing in English. But we were part of the FCA, and that's why we were involved in it. It was great fun. It really, really was. We were around here for, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks. You know, it was summertime, and people used to stop us in the streets to get pictures of us in our uniforms. We'd be dressed as French one day, or we'd be dressed in English uniforms another day. Yeah. And it was just an unreal experience.
Why did they pick this at the town?
Because this is where it actually happened. And then we done other scenes outside in the country areas and all of that. But this town was alive with this. They were coming from all over the world, because apparently it was a huge production at the time. Yeah. It was similar to a Hollywood production now, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was huge, and there was millions spent on this. And, you know, here we're coming down by the docks, which is, you know, a lovely, lovely area. Look at that for a view, isn't that beautiful? Now by the, I suppose, heading down by the docks and that. And there would have been people here, not sure if there are too many of them now, that would have done a lot of fishing from here. Yeah. There would have been fishing boats along here. Most probably, you can see some of them up here now. Not like when we were in Killybegs with Larry, recently with Larry Murphy. But, you know, there's sizable boats here too, aren't they? There'd be sort of less of them now, but this was a sort of a big, back in the day, from I'd say 80s backwards, it was a, you know, quite a large fishing area. A lot of people made a living on the fish, and they would have primarily fished for salmon and lobster. Would have been what they would have fished for from around this area. And I'm going to bring you up to the edge of the docks if we're allowed to, and you can literally see straight across. Then you'll be able to see Inniscrone. Actually, if you look over that way, you can see sort of Inniscrone just across the bay there. So that's Killala Bay as you're looking at it there. Isn't that interesting? So Inniscrone there, as you can see the windmill sort of over there. I think somewhere around there would be Inniscrone over there, just across the bay. And there's actually people I know that would take their boat from Inniscrone and just come over for the spin to Killala, and vice versa, you know, during the summer and that. Yeah. You know, just for a wee spin, you can bring people. But we'll go on to the pier now and just have a little look at the boats that's here. Again, very sad. I'm sure a lot of them have been encouraged not to fish because of quotas and stuff like that. But you can see where there's, you know, the Irish Coast Guard have a place there, so they have.
Lovely little place.
Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it absolutely beautiful?
I just love
fresh fish there now for sale, salmon, fish shop, you know. So I'm sure there would have been auctions and stuff like that, maybe held around here, little fish auctions and stuff.
But them not trying to sell the fish, they're out in the wilderness here, they're trying to...
Well, fishing is very hard, as Larry explained to us recently, that nearly in one sense you're better off nearly with a smaller boat now than the big boats, because the expenses that he told us about was just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, for anybody that's interested, we have another video on Facebook and YouTube. We're on YouTube now.
That's right, yeah, we're on the YouTube.
Yeah, but we would, if you want to go in and have a look at the videos on YouTube, but there's one of them there about that we've done here a week ago, another 2 weeks ago, down in Killybegs. And we met a lovely man, Larry Murphy, down there with his trawler, massive trawler on that boat.
Absolutely.
And he goes out every day, and there's few good stories on that for anybody.
And I just want to bring you up here. Maybe just cut it there, George, and I just want to bring you up here and show you something.
So that's Inniscrone across here, isn't it?
Somewhere, yeah, straight across is Inniscrone. Look at this in front of you. Look at this. Your track laid out for the boats. Look at that in front of you.
Oh, look at that.
And then there's something here. I think that's. I think we need to.
So hold on, Joe. What are we looking at here now? Dim posts.
Dim posts is. I am assuming now. I'm not an expert in this, but I'm assuming they are the track for the boats to come in and out. You know, the laneway.
Right. The laneway.
So that's where the water will be deep enough for them to come in and out. So it's sort of tracked out for them. I'm assuming that's what that is. It's like a little road, isn't it? And if you look, it sort of comes in here to the pier.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that really, really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, there's something else. We'll just come back to that. Something else I want to show you here now, George, as well.
Okay.
Hey, George, I just thought we would just hold on here for a second and show you something. And this is a very sad, tragic chapter in I suppose, the life of Killala and Crossmolina, because on December the 4th in 2000, this lovely lady, a young girl, Sandra Collins, went missing. And it's a well-documented story. She was last seen, I think, in a fast food outlet in the town. And it has here, you know, a lovely sort of memorial to her. Sandra Collins of Fottish, Crossmolina, who went missing on December 4th, 2000 in Killala. A missing sister, a missing daughter, all together but one. We travel, we search, we pray and cry. No answers, no leads, no reason why. Years have passed forever, we remember the times we shared before that December. Forever loved and missed by her loving family. Isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful, yeah, very sad.
Very, very sad.
Yeah.
So Sandra, I think, was in Killala where she was looking after a family relative. And she had sort of was living full-time with this relative in Killala. Was meant to be a lovely girl, very generous. I think she was only in her 20s when she went missing. But essentially, you know, RTE have done a documentary on it. I would suggest looking it up on the RTE player. It's a very good documentary. It gives you the whole ins and outs of the case. But she went out one night on the December the 4th. It was thought to get chips or whatever from a local takeaway and just vanished at the face of the earth. Has never been seen since. So very, very sad. Never seen
never
since.
showed up anyway.
Yeah. And her family, you know, I'm not speaking, you know, it's been well documented. Have lived with that horror ever since, wondering what has happened, where is she? You know, it's just very, very sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you could imagine.
What age was she? You said.
I won't give you the exact age, but I think it was sort of in her 20s. She was only a young girl, you know what I mean? Her life ahead of her.
Yeah.
Just out of the goodness out of her heart, looking after a family member, and just be taken away like that so tragically. No one knows what happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's suggestions, ideas, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, no one knows the exact story because they've never found a body.
And here we are, and just looking up at this here, you said that's the round tower up there.
Yeah, we'll go up there for a look, George. And from what I know about it, the round tower, I think, was built around the 1600s, and or maybe before that. What am I saying? We'll get up there and we'll get more information. But as far as I know, it was built by monks. And I think St. Patrick has some affiliation to it. And St. Muiradag, who was the bishop of this area, has a connection to that round tower. So, as I say, we'll get more information when we get nearer to it. But take a look at that scene up there. Like, when you look at this beautiful water, and you take a look, it has a real picturesque look to it, doesn't it?
Oh, it's just beautiful.
Isn't it stunning?
And again, we're at the end of February, and it's cold today. But imagine in the height of summer here.
Oh God, you could just imagine it.
Wouldn't it be just beautiful?
And you have, of course, a beautiful beach near enough to here called Lacken Strand.
Yeah.
And I would recommend anyone go and visit it. When we were young, we used to live in Ballina, and we'd either go to Winniscrone or Lacken Strand for a day out on the beach. And Lacken Strand was beautiful, a very unspoiled, lovely sandy beach for people to visit. And look at, like, you're looking over there, George. Are we looking at the hills of Donegal? Is that how far we're looking over there? Or is that Benbulben and Sligo? Most probably Benbulben and Sligo, I'd say. But most probably Benbulben. Look, that's
You're better research than me.
Isn't it just beautiful?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's my God. So
as
this
I
is
said,
Killala, County Mayo, well worth a visit. Beautiful town, so much to do around here, really, you know.
Yeah.
As I say, I was in the film The Year of the French here. It's a lovely town, any time of the year, but really, really picturesque during the summer. You know, beautiful any time of the year to come and visit, you know. Yeah. Lovely people, you know, great history around it.
So we're going to go up as far as the tower.
We're going to have a look at the tower, just to show you the tower. Yeah.
Right. And we leave Sandra here.
Poor Sandra, and hopefully someday, and hopefully soon, the family will get the answers that they're looking for, and hopefully they can find her body and they can put it to rest. And but it's very, 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 very sad case. you know, for the area, for the family, just very, very sad. Okay, so we're here in Killala in County Mayo, and if you are coming to visit Killala, a beautiful part of the country just outside of Ballina, this is a fantastic spot to visit. It is the Round Tower. It's estimated that it stands around 25 meters high, which is unbelievable. And I think I said earlier in the video that it was built around the 1600s. That was completely wrong. They reckon it was built somewhere around the 12th century, or maybe even a bit before that. Not exactly sure, but somewhere around the 12th century. And it's built by monks. It's the last monastic building standing in Ireland, from what I can gather. And it would have been amazing. So what would have been here was, you had the monks lived in this tower, and there would have been spots where they would have had, obviously, places to sleep. There would have been areas, private areas of prayer. There would have been a church in it. There would have been even a graveyard around here. So it would have been massively important. And it was meant to be, I think, founded by St. Patrick himself. And of course, Killala is usually important from the Catholic Church point of view, because it's the diocese. It's the main town of the Diocese of Killala, which is around here. And the first bishop of the Diocese of Killala was St. Muradak, and he was appointed by St. Patrick to the role of first bishop of Killala. So what do you think of that, George? Isn't that just unbelievable to think that it was built? Now, it's obviously been well restored over the years by, you know, I see Folgera here, who is at the Office of Public Works, have obviously been involved in keeping it like it is. The local council, the local people are to be commended. Because isn't it beautiful, George, around here, isn't it? What do you think? Isn't it just unreal, isn't it?
This kind of stuff just does my head.
Like, just put the camera right up to the top there, and it's just, you just look at that, you sort of think, that was done before you had cranes or anything.
Yeah.
How did they do it, you know?
In the 12th century.
In the 12th century, thereabouts. I reckon somewhere around the 12th century it was built. It's just, I'd just be blown away. Like, they picked rocks out of the ground to build that. And you can see it there. Look at, like, the difference. Just, they would have hand-picked each rock, putting it together like a jigsaw to that height. It's just mind-blowing.
And actually, if you look at them stones, they're big stones, aren't
they?
There's some weight in them.
I think what they done was, as they went higher, they built sort of a mound, wasn't it? Like a mountain beside it, so as they went up.
Yeah.
You know? But like 25 meters high back then. And they would have drawn those stones up with, I suppose, with donkeys, asses and carts, up, you know, building a little mountain up, and then they took the mountain away when it's built. You know, that type of way. So yeah, isn't it some building, isn't it, George?
It is amazing.
I know
It
that
is.
you love all those sort of old buildings, don't you?
Anything like that. I don't care where it is or how or what. You know, I just love the history of Ireland, especially Ireland. You know.
Well, they're very clever because they sort of got the idea. You know how you have high-rise apartments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, look what all they done in such a small area. So they got the whole idea of going up and saving on ground, didn't they? And I suppose the idea of going up was they could keep a lookout then of people that might be, you know, in danger of attacking them and stuff like that.
Actually,
How far would you see from the top of that? You know what I mean?
Actually, when you look up, you get a bit.
Oh, I'm getting dizzy looking up at it. You know what I mean? I'm looking down, no.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say to you. If you were up on top of it and looking back down.
And look at the lovely view around it then. Look at the beautiful view. You're looking over the rooftops of Killala.
Yeah, we'll get a shot at that in a second. But I just want to try we trick here, Joe, with the camera. So,
go on.
right.
Yeah, see, can you get up to the top?
Straight, stay with
Go on, you're doing it. Go on, I'm falling. Oh! Ooh.
So how high is it?
25 metres high.
25 metres high.
I think it's that.
In real money, how much is that?
I think it's 170 foot. But we'll have a look there. There's actually a chart. It's not because I'm all educated. I just read all that off a chart of a poster coming in. But it's just, when you come into Killala, you see it as you arrive into Killala. It's some building, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll just give them a shot of the outskirts of Killala.
Yeah, isn't that just beautiful farmland up there, lovely sort of hilly land, lovely green grass. People that's away abroad. Take a look at, Johnny Cash was right with his 40 Shades of Green, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I close my eyes and wonder.
Yeah.
Is that the words, is it? At the beauty of it all.
By the way, we
from the fishing boats of Shalimar.
Go over here to the camera till everybody sees you
I don't know the words.
Yeah.
No.
You're probably going to sing the hills of Donegal.
Take me back to Mayo, where I want to be. My heart is here in Mayo, across the Irish Sea. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Who's that song about?
That song is about Michael Gaughan.
Michael Gaughan.
Yeah. A man from Ballina, his life is taken away very suddenly while in a hunger strike in England.
So here we are, we're at the Round Tower in Killala.
Yeah.
And this is in County Mayo. And for anybody that's watching us in England, America, wherever you are, all over the world.
You're all very welcome as always.
Very welcome, yeah.
Yeah, and if you are coming on holidays, put it on your what's the word? Must-see destination. Is that how the yuppies say it? The must-see, my must-see destination.
We're getting an awful lot of international viewers now.
Yeah, which is lovely, and you're all very welcome. It really is, means a lot to us. And for the personal, private messages we get, you know, thank you so much. There's a lot of you have sent us your own stories, and our heart goes out to you. It really does. But, you know, keep going. That's all we say to anyone, that whatever illness you have, keep going. Do the best you can. That's all you can do, is do the best you can.
From recovery to discovery.
From recovery to discovery. And just to say that, you know, our jury is working hard. I don't know, how many entries did we get for
I lost count.
I don't know, but the jury are working hard. Thankfully, it's not Georgie or I that are making the decisions, because I don't know how I would, because one story after another is so worthy of our Hero of the Month award. So our first award is going to be announced somewhere towards the middle of March. As we say, our jury is in the process of gathering all. Today is the last day of entrance for February's nominations. Yeah. But keep your entrance coming in, because they will go forward to March and all of that.
Last week we got over 200.
It was amazing.
The whole point
amazing stories.
The whole point of the Hero of the Month is to give people that would be nominated. We want people to nominate people that they feel is people that
just give a bit of recognition and a bit of joy for a day.
Yeah.
As if we can do it all, we'll arrive to that person's to the person who's the jury selects. If we can make it to their house, we will arrive to their house and officially award them with their awards and a few goodie bags. And as I say, if we can do that, if we can't, we'll do it by Zoom or whatever way we can do it. We'll do whatever. Look,
But
we'll
you have
have
to
whatever.
promise.
We'll
But you
have
have to promise you won't go near the chocolate.
yeah, but I can't. You see, this is the problem. I got mad for chocolate at the minute. I got holy mad for chocolate.
Right. When we hit the road.
Yeah, let's go
we'll
down.
go
I
for
want
a
to
cup
show
of
you
tea,
one
won't
other
we?
spot. Oh yeah, we'll go for a cup of tea, but I want to show you another spot.
It's a bit nippy, isn't it?
Yes, lovely though, isn't it?
Yeah.
An absolute beautiful. And credit to whoever is responsible for keeping this tower so well.
Yeah.
You are to be accredited for that. It's just unbelievable. And Killala, as I say, beautiful. Any part of Ireland is beautiful, but this is just a nice place of interest for any of you to come and visit.
Yeah. There's the tower there.
There's the tower, behind us, and then there's a wee sort of information chart there. The tower struck. Oh, here's an interesting thing. The tower struck by lightning in the middle of the 19th century. The damage was repaired in 1840. It left some of the stonework bulging on one side. Did you notice that? A bulge on one side? You notice it?
It was struck by lightning.
Back in the 19th century, and they managed to fix it in 1840.
Wow.
Wow, imagine.
No.
Wow.
So
I wondered they had to readjust the headies that time in 1840 when they were looking at the lightning hitting it.
yeah. So it's a bit nippy on the last day of February. So we're going to go and get a cup of tea.
We'll just go to one more spot to show you. Yeah,
right.
one more spot. And then we'll say farewell to Killala, have a cup of tea and say farewell. That's fair enough. And thank you, Killala, for a lovely visit. So, George, I'm at the Killala Community Centre here, and I have some great memories of this community centre because back when we were doing the film, The Year of the French, we used to come congregate here every morning. So you could imagine there would be busloads of all this FCA guys and actors and the whole lot would arrive here at whatever time it was, 5:30 or 6 in the morning. And inside there was a big hall, which is still there. They seem to have indoor soccer and all sorts of things that goes on it now. But there was most probably was 500 or 600 of us would all arrive. And of course we'd have to get our makeup and our uniforms and all of that. And we had a little trick. And Archie will kill me for this now, but we had a little trick because we used to get paid overtime from anything once we worked past 8 hours. So we used to arrive in the morning, get our uniforms on, and they would put our wigs on us, and then we'd have to get our makeup on. So we had this little trick that by the time we got to the makeup lady, we'd pull our wig about 2 or 3 inches that way, and they had to start again and to put the whole wig on us. Now you have to remember that by about 500 people meant that there were a couple of hours readjusting us, so we were getting into the overtime zone. We were awful devils at the time, but that's what we were at. A few of us, I wasn't actually. And then the other funny story I have about this community centre was, towards the end of filming, there was a great festival going on, the Killala Festival. And we were all gathered here one night for a I suppose an end of filming dance or whatever it was. And I remember I was in the hall, and as the man says, I was doing grand. I was chatting up this lady, and she seemed to have a bit of an interest in me. And things were starting off towards the beginning of the night. And the next minute, you wouldn't believe it, these fellas arrived, and they were dressed like monks. And they arrived, and they left down this coffin in the middle of the fucking floor beside me. And this buck jumps out of the coffin. He was part of the band. I didn't know it. Well, I nearly crapped myself. I ran a million miles and I never saw the girl since. So anyway, George, I think it's time for us to have that promised cup of tea. What do you think?
Well, I don't know about you, but it looks like we're going to have to go for some tea.
Yeah,
but,
I think
do you want green tea, blue tea, or purple tea?
I just want a nice mug of tea. A nice mug of tea now. And did you enjoy your little trip to Killala?
Absolutely, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. And so I think we'll say bye-bye for now.
Yeah.
Okay, Georgie, so I think it's that time now. What do you think? Is it that time for your famous
cup of tea?
Mug of tea, not cup of tea, a mug of tea. Well, let's go and find. Did you enjoy your day in Killala?
Yeah, great. But it's nippy now. Nippy.
No, yeah, but that's not Killala's fault, is it?
Yeah. No, the tower is beautiful, isn't it? I love that.
No, it's beautiful, and it's well worth a visit to you all, as we keep saying. Killala, County Mayo, just outside of Ballina. It's about, what is it, about 10 minutes from Ballina in the car?
And thanks to all the people who said hello.
Thank you to everyone that said hello and all the people that watch us. And I didn't realise so many people watch us around Killala, but there you go. But to say thank you to you all. And until the next time, Keep watching the recovery tour.
Bye.
Bye.